It seems the world could be on the brink of an unprecedented wine shortage. Hyperventilating. Extreme weather conditions across the globe have caused grape harvests to reach their lowest levels in 50 years. And it means the biggest wine producing countries such as Italy and France are bottling 20% less than usual. With me is wine journalist and chief executive of the Wine and Climate Change Institute, Linda Johnson-Bell. Hi, Linda.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, how bad is it?
It's not as bad as it is made out to be. We've always had vintage variations, but what's happening with climate change is we're having more drastic and violent climate changes, and the wine producers they can't keep up. They have violent hails and freak hails and freezes in April and May, which take half the crop with them, and what survives is often killed off in a drought in September. But what is exciting about climate change is it means that yes, there are regions that are going to have to cease viticulture, but we're seeing new regions emerge and develop. And I just got back from Switzerland, and they're doing amazing things. So there'll be new wines coming.
It takes a while, though, doesn't it, to develop and cultivate those crops?
Decades. And the slightly scary thing with climate change is, for example, using the Swiss for an example, their Pinot Noir, which is a very cool climate red grape, is finally taking on some fullness and some depth of perhaps a Burgundy because of the heat. But I was told that in 10 years' time, they won't be able to even grow Pinot Noir there, and they're moving on to Syrah, which is a warm weather red grape. So it seems to be moving so quickly that it's the timeline of wine, as you say. You don't even let a grapevine produce grapes until it's 3 years, 5 years, 6 years. Some people wait 7 years. And then the wine producer wants to experiment and see which plants do well with his terroir, or, so it's a very long process. It's not like fashion where you can just say, next year it's mini skirts. It can take hundreds and hundreds of years. And
so does that mean French wine that we hear so much about at the moment, Spanish, Italian wine, in 2 decades' time, that won't be the wine that we want to drink? We may want to drink it from Syrah or wherever.
That's hard to answer. They're working very hard, and they are having their efforts slightly bound by the appellation laws, because in Europe, for example, you can only grow a certain grape and a certain amount of that grape within that appellation. Sancerre will only ever be Sauvignon Blanc. So they're having to be creative. They're experimenting with other clones and grape varieties that are still legal within their system. But I think we're going to see more and more, and we're seeing it in Spain already, winemakers breaking away from the appellation laws, so they can.
So the hampering of that system.
Absolutely,
not going to have it.
They want the freedom the New World wine countries have. They're allowed to. The reason we're seeing less of a loss in production in the New World wine countries is, first of all, they're allowed to irrigate, which is very naughty. It dilutes the wine, but it increases the yields. And they're allowed to replant wherever they like. They don't have to follow prescriptive, geographical regions. So, but I think in the long run, Europe will win because we have more land to go further north towards the cool, whereas the southern hemisphere is running out of land to go down south towards it's cooler and cooler.
Okay.
So the good news is, I think, these beloved regions, the regions that seduced me into this industry to start with, they're going to be changing in their style, and they're going to be changing grape varieties. But I think they're going to be with us for a long time still.
Yeah, as Mark Twain said, by land, they're not making any more. But as far as Champagne is concerned, that has to be in that region.
Well, yes, that's what an appellation law is all about. Like in Rioja has to be in Rioja, and Bordeaux has to be from Bordeaux. So that's it's fabulous. It's what's given them their world-class branding. But at the same time, at the moment, in the current context, it's kind of.
But 20% less, does that mean that it's going to cost more to buy wine at the supermarket?
It could do, yes. And it also, unfortunately, it might mean we're spending more money on wines that aren't as good either. The qualitative, the rapport quality price is not going to be there anymore.
Especially what's happened in California with all of the wine district there in the Napa Valley.
It's horrific, I know. Fortunately, I think a lot of them got their wines in. The fires were after the harvest, so we should see a pretty decent production from Napa and Sonoma. What is more worrying, though, there is the smoke taint. Let's see what their wine is going to be like next year, because the smoke taint, as Australia has told us, is often the greatest, repercussion of these fires.
So what are the best wines that we should be drinking as a result of this harvest?
I tend to go towards the cool climate wines more and more. I'm drinking my northern Italians. I'm drinking Austrian and Swiss wines more and more. And yes, I am drinking speaking English and Welsh. I think it's very exciting, and I'm judging the Welsh wine competition again in 2 weeks' time, and the fruit is gorgeous. I think we have a really exciting future here. And perversely, I'm hoping that the higher prices of the other wine regions means that our prices, because at the moment our domestic wines are quite expensive. So if this could somehow turn out that we can have our wines at a more affordable price, I say drink British, or drink English.
Absolutely. You know what? I would say I would invite you back, but you didn't bring any with you, and there is 5 o'clock somewhere, surely. It's good to talk to you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for joining us. Bear with us 1 second.